All right, Josh, you just passed the PMP. How'd you do? How do you feel, man?
Feel over the moon about it all. It was a little bit stressful going in. I'd taken the exam once already this kind of fall and didn't do as well, and then sort of discovered your group. And although I didn't feel super comfortable in the test, like everything was a little bit tricky. I crushed it at the end. So
Yeah, dude.
over the moon. Yeah. So
5 above targets, so it's not so bad.
Well, four above target. Yeah, 4 above targets.
Oh, I misread. 4 above targets.
4 above targets, 1 target. So good enough.
That's not so bad. That's cool. So you said you didn't pass before. You passed this time, which is cool. The
Correct.
first time that you went through it, talk me through kind of the process you went through and what was missing.
Yeah. So the first time I went through, I had a couple colleagues recommend a different group or a different prep provider, and went through, and I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And they sort of did it the knowledge group way. They go left to right, left to right, left to right. Through Zoom, right? Like everybody is right now, which is normal. And then you kind of nailed it on the head, actually, in one of your earlier videos that I was watching when I started discovered you, where it's just like they kind of just grind you through the process, like you're like in the meat grinder, right? They're just kind of churn you. And then, there's times where like ask a question and the teachers just like keep following through. It's like, did he not hear me? Is my mic off? What's the deal? And then sometimes they'd interact, but it wasn't as like engaging. And so I went through and sat for my first test, and woof. It was, I think I had 2 targets and then 3 below targets. And I was just like, I swear I had read stuff on that test that I'd never even like looked at.
Yeah.
And, focused my time on a lot of like Maslow's pyramid and like things like that. And those didn't come up for me either time. Right. Like it was just, I focused my energy in the wrong spot. And, to be honest, took a week off. I need a week to like get my life together, be like, what the hell does this happen? Put all this effort in, tons of time in, like everybody does. Put my time in, a lot of burden on the family and the work. And I went like, Jesus, like if this is what it is, like I'm never gonna pass this thing. And I sort of coincidentally ran into to Matt Lewick there. Yeah, and we had a really good conversation. He didn't pay for my beer, which was okay, but met Matt just in conversation about some work things, and he said that he was involved with your group. Yeah, I was like, you know what, I'll do anything right now, because like the group I'm with, like sure, I got a foundation from them. I didn't get what I wanted out of it, and then I found your group, and it was just like from the energy levels that you bring to the videos, and just how everything like walks through and talks through how things relate, and it's not just go in there and brain dump your way through this exam. It's like go in, think, okay, I'm jumping out of an airplane. Where am I landing? Okay, I'm landing here. Which way am I going? Am I going forward, back, or what am I doing as I hit the ground? And that for me is my learning style. Is like, that's perfect. Like, that's what I need. I'm not going to memorize all the idioms. I'm not going to memorize everything, because my brain is far past that at this stage.
And you're like a real practitioner, right? Like, I mean, like you're out there working, you're doing stuff. I mean, stuff behind you, real stuff. Like you're out there doing it. So like, I think like the biggest testament to people is like, yeah, you don't have to memorize this stuff because you're already pretty good at this. Let's just like organize it. Let's get concepts around it. So
100%. And then also taking that separation of like, okay, this is my real world. This is PMBOK world. And sometimes, and I know I slipped up on a few, and it was like, well, I would do this. And there was times like, well, that's great, you would do this, but don't for the exam.
There's like a middle ground in there where it's like as you get like working real projects and stuff, you're like, I can take my hands off the wheel a little bit. I can work this. But then you're like, for like a junior guy, you'd be like, like it took me a while to get here that I can do this on my own.
100%. Yeah, I can make this up later. Whereas some of the things like the PMBOK, it's like you stop everything. You wait till you're done this. Like at our work, it's like you go. Like you run and you don't stop running. It's like Forrest Gump, right? You get a touchdown, you just keep going, and that's it. Whereas PMBOK, it's like no.
Yeah, you pause.
Do you have this?
You do all these things. You look at these documents and stuff. And you're like, I get it. I understand what you're going with. But like, I got clients to make happy. So sweet. So like, Yeah, you work with Matt. There's like the videos and stuff. You talked about that stuff. Then there's like the coaching call side, which is a little bit different. Talk us through, like, was that helpful for you? What was it like being in with Matt and kind of working through stuff? Like, what did that go?
100%. Yeah, like, so doing, so I was on the Thursday night calls with Matt and a group of people. And came into it not knowing what to expect. And I, again, related it back to the course I took before, because we had, I don't want to say coaching call, we had half an hour a day dedicated to tests. All it was the teacher would read the questions, you type your answer in the chat, and then if you got it right, you got it right. If you got it wrong, just, okay, cool. Like, try again next time. We're going to flip the slides so quick that it doesn't matter, that you don't even know what you're reading. With the coaching calls, I just found it was, not only the interaction from other people, but other people asking questions. And you go through that sort of stage in anything where it's like, do I ask questions? Do I answer it in the chat? Like, these two are answering. Do I answer in the chat? How does it go? And you kind of get that feeling of like, okay, we're a community, we're a group. Everybody's here for each other. And you see people put in the chat like, hey, I was thinking, it was this because of this. And sometimes they're right, and other times they're wrong. And that was really great about just like calling people out and be like, hey, why would you think that? And then it's like, okay, I see where you're going, but maybe look in this direction or look in that direction. And I felt that for me, like that's type of learning was so much more beneficial than just having someone just grind out questions, not break them down. Because if you're not breaking it down, you're not getting the substance. You're not learning. You're just learning again how to memorize and hope to God that question or something similar is on the question or on the quiz, right? So those are incredible little features, definitely of this program. And at my work, I know my work, there's a bunch of people doing their PMP. And some people aren't doing tests or aren't doing anything. And we just go online and download the PMI, that free test that they have, the PMI India one, I think. It's just at lunchtime. It's like, okay, let's go grind out like 15 questions together, see what happens, talk it through. And they're not as, they're probably not as far along in the process as I am. So I'd be able to be like, well, I see where you're going, but according to Matt, and Matt knows something, you're probably wrong. I know we both
Matt's
be wrong.
Really good at like it's like relax, like because similar styles, and so like he just lets you go and talks you through it and lets you trip on your own and then kind of pull you back and stuff like that. So
or he'd even try and I don't want to say trip you up, but he'd try and say, oh, you're thinking that way, but what about thinking this way? Not to dissuade you, but to also go like, okay, like I got to be confident in myself. Where I'm going, like why would the teacher question me if I pick B, my partner picked B? Why would he question that we pick B when it's going to be B? And so, it's kind of give you that confidence in the test where you don't have anybody to bounce anything off of. That was super, super beneficial, that aspect of it.
I totally agree, man. All right. And so like, now that you have the perspective, like before, after, and you got through, you did really well, 4 above targets, which is rare for the regular population. Like, what do you think is really important for someone starting out? Like, if they need to like realize that, like, hey, don't sacrifice this, or this is what you should really focus on. Like, from the student's perspective, what do you realize now about what's important?
Well, I realize that the way that your group, I want to say, perfected not doing a brain dump and doing the evaporated brain dump was super key, because I felt myself initially. I don't want to say by any means wasting time, because it wasn't ever wasting time, but I would just write everything down that I knew. And it's just like, well, what am I learning if I write 2 + 2 is 4 100 times? I'm still going to know the answer even if I don't write it down.
Yeah.
But am I going to know the standard deviation of this if I don't write it down? Probably not. And so it was breaking things down, understanding, okay, I don't know this, I don't know that, I don't know this technique, I don't know that. Okay, what do those ones mean? Because I already know, I know what parametric estimating is. Okay, I know what that is. What's analogous? I can't even say the word, but I know it. I can read it. But if I know what one is, okay, I just need to know the other one, and then you're golden.
Yeah.
And I thought breaking things down kind of in that reverse technique was super helpful. And it's something that the group that I'm sort of sitting with at work and going through things on with has been like, okay, like, you know the 5 process groups, like, don't write them down every time. You know them. And if you don't, then okay, sure, right?
We got a problem, right? Yeah, we need to go back and learn that.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just like, it was kind of like reverse engineering it, and then not doing, not wasting any time in the exam doing a brain dump. Like the last one's like, go in there, write everything down, and then you're going to be good. Well, this exam that I just passed, I don't know if when I talked to Matt, I technically really finished with 3 seconds left. I had one question that I didn't answer, And I was going through all my flag, and then I looked like, oh crap, I have to go all the way back and sort of flip to it and just like, I don't know, just pick one.
Yeah.
But like, there wouldn't have been time. I would have had zero time to sort of waste time dumping it into that for something that's not as relevant.
Agreed. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's good to have that perspective now, because so many people, I mean, they direct like hours and weeks and literal months, not being hyperbolic, right? Like literally they piss away months on like writing all these things down and memorizing. And I'm like, all right, let's have like a quick 2-second conversation about whatever. And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, we got a problem, dude. Like,
yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yeah, you don't have a problem. Because like at their regular job, I doubt they would be like, oh, I got to memorize all this stuff. You know, and be like, no, I'm going to think on my feet and work through it. So yeah, it's got to go into that. Now, yeah, so on the same mistake, I guess that's like the biggest mistake people could make. They could go and they could memorize stuff. Like they could just spend all their time there. Now, how do you think, like, you went through it? Do you think you're looking at your job any differently now? Are there little things that you picked up or emphasized, anything like that in real life?
Yeah, there's little key components that, again, you know, if you take pinball world versus our world, our things, it's like, you know, if you talk about sometimes like project closure, like you you've given the keys to the owner, see you later.
Yeah.
Not see you later fully, but it's just like, okay, I'm going to start the next thing. My team's going to move around, do their own thing. And we'll kind of come back and check up on you. But now it's sort of understanding a little bit more of the technical body knowledge for it and going, okay, let's back this up. Let's make sure we have everything. Because, you know, for me, the organization I work for, we do amazing, huge, substantial infrastructure in Calgary. But we're a super young company. Like we started in 2007. When I started there was 13 of us. We've grown to 30 now in the last 8 years that I've been there. Jesus. And it's like, it's just like, okay, now we need to start really focusing in on our processes and understanding these forms and techniques and what we should be doing, rather than, you know, before someone asks you a question, okay, I'll answer that. Well, did you write it down? Yeah. Where are you recording this? Are you supposed to even tell that person this? Like, what's your communications plan? Like, there's been a huge buildup from this and through our sort of organizational growth that has just been definitely helping me look at things a lot differently, but still understanding that my company does things different and we'll continue to do it that way.
Yeah, and I think like a couple, like for guys like you that are in the field and pushing, like maybe it's like one or two things. It's like, yo, we can tighten this up a little bit and like let's be a little bit more like lined up there, and then it kind of leads to something else, and then you're like, oh, okay, that helped us not have these fires later on. Like, okay, cool, 100%. We're a winner now.
Yeah, exactly.
Still, you don't sacrifice anything. Yeah, so I really, really appreciate you jumping on, man, and sharing. Absolutely. You did awesome. Like, absolutely. There's guys like you that are out there, like practitioners. You got to get it for either for a contract or you got to get it for like regular job. Probably you know, had some trouble before, trusted in the systems and they let you down, whatever. And now like you're moving through. So if someone sees themselves in you, what would be their recommendation? What would be your recommendation for them so that they can like move through judiciously and actually be successful? Like, what would you say to those people?
You know, it'd be kind of part and parcel. It'd be, you got to trust the process, and you just got to you got to put in the work. You got to make sure, like, put as much work into this as you're putting everything else. And I know there's sacrifices that have to be made. Like, you know, for me and numerous other people that have probably completed this. Like, I have a young family, and it's just like, hey, look, kids, wife, sorry, I'll be in the dungeon tonight, just grinding. It'll all be better on the outside, but you know, we have to put in this work, or else, you know, I'm wasting my money sort of, you know, taking the test. I'm wasting my money on these courses. You got to put in the time, trust that, you know, the group and sort of having the luxury, and I'll call this luxury, is comparing two different prep courses. You know, trust the group that is right for you, and your group, you know, for me, makes the most sense. And it's been the one that now I've even basically forgotten the other one's name. They're Voldemort to me. Whereas your group, anybody in my office, like, what are you looking for? I'm like, hey, this organization, this group explains things the way they should explain things. They break it down, not to oversimplify or sell you guys short, but they break it down like you're a 3-year-old. You come in and you explain it. Okay, this does this does this, rather than just memorize. And so trust the process, put in the work, and then make sure you celebrate super hard when you're in a quiet room, and just so everybody stares at you at the end of the time.
I can support all of those things, especially the last one. So
that was it was a couple of people in the testing center. I don't think were a big fan of me after that, but Didn't care. I was probably too busy walking 40 feet in the air.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, Josh, really, really appreciate it, man. This won't be the last time we talk. Say hello to Matt next time you talk to him.
Absolutely.
And, appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it, Scott. Appreciate everything your organization's done and how you've set this program up.